to succeed without faith is trying to achieve by accident. Attempting to succeed without faith is trying to achieve success by accident. And no one achieves success God's way by accident. No one achieves success God's way by accident. It has to be by faith. It has to be by faith. Welcome to Licensed to Succeed. And I have the pleasure of bringing you another edition today. And I'm sure by now you already know what our topic of discussion is. Welcome once again. Today we are discussing success by accident, but more precisely, I'm making a pretty strong statement here that without faith, it is impossible to succeed God's way. Without faith, it is impossible to succeed God's way. So, without faith, success is a long shot. Success is a long shot. And it's pretty simple, at least from the perspective that we read from the Bible in Hebrews 11 and verse 6 said, without faith it is impossible to please God. And that means it's impossible to please God in whatever it is you do. It's impossible to please God by whatever it is you present. Okay. It said, because whoever comes to him must believe that he exists, he is, and he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. What that means also is that whoever comes to him, all right, must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who diligently pursue life the way that he has laid it out. Those who diligently seek him are those not who just pray to him, are those who actually walk in the light of his word, of his commands, of his prescriptions. Those are the people who seek him, and they do so diligently. All right. It says without faith we can't please him. We also know from Hebrews 10 and verse 38 where it says that the just shall live by his faith. And if anyone turns back from faith, from living by faith, I will have no pleasure in him. So without faith, you are not doing things God's way. Without faith, you are not doing things God's way. And therefore, whatever it is you achieve, please don't refer to it as success. Why? Because success in the eyes of God is determined by two things. One, what exactly you are bringing. Two, how you accomplished it. So take, for example, if you were given a seed, God gave you a seed. All right, go and occupy with this until I come. See what you can do with this. And then when he comes, you show up with, a huge truckload of guava. Meanwhile, the seed he gave you were mango seeds, but you have shown up with guavas. Plenty of it. Now, you may be celebrating that. You had a bountiful harvest. Oh, you have something to show. After all, it says, I have sent you to go and bear fruit, okay, and lasting fruit. But are you going to be judged successful? Certainly no. Why is that the case? Because you are given seeds that produce, all right? What did I use? Mango, all right? Not guava. So, how did you come about guava seeds? You obviously didn't follow the way of God to come about guava seeds, because that's not what He gave you. You couldn't have done, used the mango seeds He gave you to produce guavas. That's magic. God doesn't operate on magic. But more like it, you have been dishonest, you have been fraudulent, or perhaps you've just operated in ignorance, haven't taken time to know the kind of seed that you have been given. Rest assured, the one who gave you the seed knows what he's expecting you to bring. Just like if you gave, your son or a friend or your wife or so, the seed, and you said, plant this. You know what you're expecting. And so it is both what you bring and how you obtained it that determines whether you're successful in the eyes of God. That's what this channel is about. License to succeed. Focusing on what the evidence, the true evidence of success is to God, and God's way, all right, of achieving it. So he says, without faith, you can't please God. You must do whatever you do in life by faith. So that's something that you must bear in mind if you really want to succeed. Your race has to be run based on faith. Paul was saying, he said, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course or my race. I have kept the faith. Now, and later he said, fight the good fight of faith. He was revealing that faith was a cornerstone in his pursuit, that everything he did based on faith. And he said there, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. That is, the journey to succeed in anything will be characterized by fights. You have to fight, all right, in order to succeed. At different stages, challenges will be presented, and you must overcome them to have any hope of succeeding. And what do you engage to overcome that? Faith. Faith. Because if you lack faith, you can't overcome those challenges. The reason that many fail is because they lack faith, the requisite faith in what they are working on, in their pursuit. All right? First of all, they don't believe enough that their pursuit will work. That's one level of faith. They don't believe enough in themselves, in their ability to make their pursuit work. That's a second level of faith. And perhaps the most important level, they don't believe or trust in God to help them, empower them to make a success of what they are pursuing. You see the levels of faith there. Do you have confidence, all right, that this thing you are working on will give the required result, that you would achieve what you set out to achieve, that you would achieve what you know can be achieved? Do you believe in that endeavor, in that business, in that career enough, all right, to give it all that it takes? Do you believe? Because if you don't believe, then you can't make anything out of it. There is no such thing as succeeding by accident. No such thing. If you ever got any result by accident, that has a semblance of success, rest assured that it will not last. Why? Because the process that you followed, all right, will not guarantee anything that will last. You want something to last, it has to be obtained in a certain manner. And faith is key. Faith is key. All right. So, do you believe enough in yourself? Or you are just doing it because others are doing it? And you are hoping that because others have results to show that you like, you also should be able to, would be able to get results. But it's not as though you really believe in your ability to accomplish what you are pursuing. You don't believe in yourself enough. If you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be a long shot trying to succeed. It's going to be a really long shot trying to succeed. Now, let's turn to the aspect that is faith in God. Do you believe enough? Do you trust in God to back you up? All right, such that you can succeed in that endeavor? Or you believe you can do your own thing and you can get results anyway, and you know enough? What would you require God for? Or perhaps what you do is just paying lip service, all right, but you truly don't believe God. And when there are issues, how do you handle that? All right. Do you go to God first, or do you go looking for somebody who can help you first? These are some of the indicators that show whether you are truly, believing God or walking in faith in your pursuit. And it's important to walk in faith in your pursuit. Now, in case you are not aware, all right, you can refer to Psalm 127 that says, except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen are awake in vain. All right, so you understand that yes, there are things we can do ourselves, but you are better off depending on God to do things, to help you with things, to make things happen for you. All right, I'm not saying you shouldn't work, you must work, but with the consciousness that your reliance is on God, your help is in God, so that the things, the factors you cannot see, all right, it can help you with them. Ecclesiastes 9:11, I believe, tells us, the race is not to the swift. The battle is not to the strong. Favor doesn't go to the men of skill. Men who have understanding do not become rich. All right. Wise men may not be able to put food on the table. On a good day, all of those things are powerful attributes that should accomplish, everything that is mentioned there. And why do we have such seasons, such experiences where our capabilities fail to produce the results that we desire? It's because there's a factor that is called time and chance. That factor, it said, the end of that scripture says, because time and chance happens to all of them. That is, you can do the right things and still fail. Yes, you can follow the right principles and still fail. Not because you have done any wrong, not because you haven't followed the principles, not because you haven't done it to the best of your ability, but because there is just a factor that even your principle did not anticipate, did not capture, and it's called time and chance. The contemporary term for that is uncertainty. The factor of uncertainty is present in every endeavor of man. Uncertainty is part of how the system of the earth it works. Uncertainty is one of the ways God makes it clear to you and I that I'm still in charge. So be careful with every attempt to beat your chest as though you have all it takes to get some things done. Except I back you up, I can throw spanner in the works. Or the system, the way the earth has been configured to run, can throw spanner in the works. And when that happens, how do you deal? So all your effort will go to naught. You look as if you haven't done anything. Why? Because you have not pursued that, endeavor by faith. Because when you pursue the endeavor by faith, you are bringing God into what you're doing. And God is the antidote to uncertainty. Because he creates everything, he knows everything, and he can keep, uncertainty in check. He can keep uncertainty in check. He can stay the plague. He can just ensure that things don't happen that create problems for you. So you see, you can't succeed by accident. No one succeeds by accident. You succeed by faith, especially if you're a believer. You must do everything by faith. Said the just shall live by faith. That statement didn't isolate any aspect of life or living. It didn't isolate, it didn't exempt. That is, you must recognize God, embrace the God factor in everything you do, if your success is to have any meaning before him, and is to be truly respected. And let me say also that in order for you to succeed, your faith is going to be tested. That you succeed in something according to God's way is evidence that you engaged faith. Why? You could never succeed without faith. Following God's way. You can follow any other way, but I imagine that even that you have to have faith in something else. All right, but that's not our own focus. But I want to share something with us to show you how critical this element we're talking about is. And, I want to draw attention to something that transpired between Jesus and his disciples. All right, a leader and his people. And of course, the people were under training and they were being trained to become leaders. They were looking forward to becoming successors. That is, to, achieving success in their leadership training. All right. So, working under a leader was a pursuit and they wanted to be successful in it. And so at a point, the leader told them, he said, wait a minute. He said, he called one of them. He said, listen, Simon. He said, Satan, the adversary. He said, he has obtained permission from me to test you. All right. He wants to sift you like wheat. He said, but I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail. They were on a journey to becoming leaders, serving under their master, walking with him. They had to believe in him. All right? Because if you must benefit from a leader, you must believe in the leader. All right? Just as you believe in God. 2 Chronicles 20:20, believe the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe also his prophet, so shall you prosper. Okay? So he warned them. He said, your journey, you are about to be tested. Satan took permission from me so that he can test you, to really know whether you are authentic, whether you qualify to become successors, and you are not fake. Because to sift like wheat is to attempt to separate chaff from wheat. And the only way you can know which one is original is to test them, is to throw them up and try to sieve them, all right, or sift them. It's another way of humiliating someone, showing that you are not who you say you are. Satan was planning that for them, but it was a test, because the result of it was going to show their readiness, all right, to lead. Recall that Jesus also was tested. Satan also sifted him like wheat. When he tested him after his 40 days sojourn, and he discovered that Jesus was authentic. When he was testing Jesus, he said, if you are the Son of God, which was, I'm trying to establish, are you who you say you are? Are you qualified to lead? In this case, are you qualified to succeed, all right, in this journey to becoming successors? You must go through that challenge. You must prove that you are qualified. That was the whole idea. But the master knew that they weren't there yet, although they overrated themselves. And the danger, all right, from that kind of test was what the master tried to mitigate when he said, I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail. Why? Because if their faith failed, and that is their faith in their leader, if they begin to wonder, why should all of this happen? I mean, we are following somebody who is capable, and here we are, not able to stand in the face of temptation. They can lose their faith completely. And if they lost their faith, they are doomed in terms of their pursuit. They can never succeed. Jesus knew that. Their leader knew that. And that's what he went for. He didn't prevent them from falling. He focused on securing their faith. Because as long as they still have faith, they still have hope of succeeding. As long as you still have faith, you have hope of succeeding in anything. Once your faith is lost, that's the end. Nothing good will come out of your pursuit. Once your faith is lost, the various dimensions of faith, once they are lost, you can't come out of anything. You are done as far as that endeavor is concerned. That endeavor will result in nothing meaningful. It will result in nothing other than failure. Among other reasons, because you are no longer following God's way of achieving things, which has to be by faith. Which has to be by faith. So your faith must not fail. That's why I said, without faith, all right, success is a long shot. Without faith is a very long shot. You wonder why many people fail. Well, that's a good reason, a critical reason. Because when the challenges come, as they will come, they are sifted like wheat. They are discovered to lack the faith, the staying power, all right, to continue on the journey. Faith is the due, D-U-E, that you must pay to qualify, to succeed in anything. And the way you pay it is to engage it to overcome the obstacles. Remember the parable of the sower that Jesus spoke. When you listen to that parable, there's a journey between, sowing the seed. The farmer went out to sow, but something happens, a process between sowing the seed and the harvest. When he plants the seed, the birds of the air will come and attempt to steal it. If he succeeds with that and the crop begins to grow, then the sun will attempt to scorch, the crop and kill it. If that is overcome, then the weeds will grow and they try to choke the crop so they can kill it. And that stage also has to be overcome. And then he can really be hopeful of a harvest. Look at those three challenges that must be overcome. It requires faith to overcome every single one of them. Faith to overcome every single one of them. They are the dues that you and I must pay to succeed in anything. To think that there is something that we're pursuing and we won't face challenges, we're joking. Because if there are no challenges, you should be scared. If there is nothing to overcome in your quest for success, you should be concerned, because that means you are on a route that is leading to nowhere, that is leading to nothing of value. But if success is in view, the challenges will present themselves. Those milestones have to be crossed. The odds will come against your failure. And all that they are trying to do is to ascertain whether you are qualified to succeed. You must pay your dues by overcoming through principally your faith. By overcoming each of those obstacles. And so when you succeed, you know it has been by faith. You see why Paul said, I have fought a good fight. Look, 3 different milestones, fights, challenges. Many will fail at different points. Some will fail, at the very first stage, where the birds of the air steal their seeds from the ground. And those don't even believe, all right, in what they are doing. That's what it means. They are not intentional enough. They're not committed enough. I mean, how do you watch to see the birds of the air steal your seed from the ground? It means you have no value for the seed. It means you don't even understand what the potential of a seed. That is, that one seed can produce a forest. Because if you did, you will guard it jealously. You have no faith in the seed, as it were. And then the one who produced the seed and packaged so much potential in it. And then you have those who will succeed at that level. But then another challenge will come. A challenge that will test their knowledge, all right, of the process. That's that son. And when Jesus was interpreting it, he said those are people who get excited initially. But when challenges come for the sake, of what they are doing, they get offended. All right? They lack sufficient depth of understanding, faith, to realize that that challenge is part of the deal. It comes with the territory. That all they need is staying power to overcome it. All right? So perhaps a higher level of faith than what it required to overcome the first. And then, of course, if they overcome that, some will fail at the point where, all that they have achieved up to a point in their pursuit is choked by the people they hang around with. Tons. People who don't believe in what they're doing. People who probably want to celebrate success prematurely because they've seen what they have done. And then, they sway them. They begin to spend money. They begin to celebrate when the harvest has not come. And in the end, all right, you take your eyes away from what you are doing. And before you know it, things have gone the other way. So you have that. It requires faith as well. It requires faith to overcome, the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, the deceitfulness of riches, which is which is what you refer to as those thorns that choke efforts of people. So you have 3 levels. You have to overcome them. Demonstrating that you have the faith, overcoming the challenges by faith, and therefore succeeding in your endeavor by faith. But like I said, the example, where the leader had to pray that the faith of his people will not fail, should convey to us the importance of pursuing any of our endeavors by faith, by faith, by faith. And the last point is what I spoke about earlier this week. In my first broadcast this week, examine yourself. It says in 2 Corinthians 13:5, examine yourself to ensure that you are still in the faith. So as you pursue, all right, success, that's something you have to keep doing. Don't assume away that the faith is still there. Examine yourself from point to point, from stage to stage, to ensure that you are still, all right, you are still approaching your pursuit with the requisite mindset, the mindset of faith. Examine yourself if you are still in the faith. Test yourself. Don't you know that Jesus Christ is in you? That's important. And the reason that we're given that counsel is that we can fall out of faith without knowing. Peter and his people probably thought they were still in the faith. That's why Peter was boasting. Well, I don't know about others. They may fall, but I will never fall. I'm ready to die with you. And he told him, before the cock crows, you would have denied me 3 times. You would have fallen so badly, you won't recognize yourself. And it happened. And it happened. They ordinarily thought such an occurrence was impossible. They were that confident in themselves. That's why Peter would say something like that. And he probably echoed, the views of all these other guys. However, they didn't know that they are since derailed, that they were no longer, walking in faith. And thankfully, what happened. Because notice what Jesus said. I prayed for you that your faith will not fail. But when you are converted, that is after you fall and you come to your senses, said, strengthen your brothers. Strengthen your brothers. That is, build up their faith. Build up their faith. Pointing them to the fact that it's essential, it's crucial, you can fall out without knowing, and therefore you must continue, all right, to check the same way you check your blood pressure from time to time. Check that you're still operating in faith. Because the moment you lose faith, you put your pursuit at risk and you make success a long shot. No matter how much progress you have made up to that particular point in time, once you get off the frequency of faith, everything becomes uncertain. everything that you have achieved to that point, all right, becomes vulnerable. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. All right? So don't overrate yourself like Peter. Humble yourself. It's dangerous. You are doing too much work. Just take these precautions. Just walk, in knowledge and understanding, and ensure that your faith is perpetually alive, in place, and being fired up. The embers of it are being fanned, because that's your guarantee of success in whatever it is that you do. Thank you for staying with me this morning. You will agree that this is, such an important dimension. And I hope that you are taking away a lot this morning, and that it's been time worth spending with me exploring the subject. Without faith, success is a long shot. And you have seen the various dimensions. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back Tuesday by the grace of God. And next week is another week. Promises to be a great time, God willing. And rest assured, there will still be more nuggets to help you succeed, and to do that God's way. To achieve success that is truly fulfilling. That you can beat your chest anywhere and say, this is how this was achieved. Not something that you can share fully the details of your testimony. All right? Olatunji Shobodo is my name, and I remain your anchor. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Make sure that you find time to rest. God bless you. Once again, thank you for sparing the time, joining. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, share with your friends also, if this has been a time well spent and a blessing to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.